Good morning. All right, pull up my notes so I can see them. So, my name is Christy. I have been helping coordinate Sunday Serve for a couple years now, and I've known for about 2 months that I was going to give a quick mini message before we started. And so almost right away, I was like, oh, I can't wait. I'm going to look up service in the Old Testament, service in the New Testament. I looked up the Hebrew and the Greek words, and I'm going to have this amazing theological message about service. And so I did the research, and then this last week I went away to a Christian camp, a young women's camp near Alma, and I had a lot of responsibilities there. I was speaking there as well, and so I figured I'll just leave my research, and I'll come back Friday night. I'll just put it together. I'll have Saturday to kind of mull it over, and we'll be good to go. And so I came home from camp, great week of camp, came home, I said a little prayer, looked at my notes, and I was like, ew, this isn't gonna work. I'm not feeling this isn't it. And so I prayed some more, and then I started thinking, I just had a great week of service at a camp with young women. Surely I can come up with a great story about service that's gonna be amazing and show like the great glorious side of service. And one story popped into my mind, and that was a story about how I kind of messed up and how I let myself get in the way of the service that God has called me to. So I'm going to tell you that story, and then the Lord just kind of reminded me of a couple really simple things about service, and that's going to be it. So at camp, we had afternoon activities, and normally that would be, it's camp, so you go outside and you do all kinds of stuff. But when it's 95 degrees and incredibly humid, you stay inside. So we came up with tons of crafts, like card making, book making, coloring, bracelets. We all made tons of bracelets throughout the week. And the last couple days of camp, we allowed manicure time, nail making time. And because on the final night, we have this big fancy tea party, and everybody gets dressed up, and they have like china cups, and the girls drink tea. Well, actually, they drink hot chocolate because they hate tea. But then we have little fancy desserts, and it's a good time. So we wanted our nails to look good for this event. And I'm not anti-nail, but I'm not like, I don't really care. And so I was excited to go back and do like the crafty creative stuff, because I don't get to do that a lot, to like create things with my hands. So I was pumped about that activity time. But since I was one of the leaders of the week, I figured I should just step out onto the back porch where the nails were and see if they needed any help. And I walked out that door into a cacophony of chaos. It was wild. Little girls, arms and legs everywhere, reaching over everyone to get their favorite color, trying to nab the best stickers first, and then nobody knew what they were doing. And then some of them just dove in and started painting their nails. And they weren't very good at it. Like, I think it would have looked better if they just like dipped their nails in paint than tried to have done that, because it was wild. It was wild out there. Fumes were just hanging in the air because it was so humid, it wasn't going anywhere. And so I was like, okay, it's just one day. I'll take one for the team. So I jumped in and I started painting nails. And that's difficult. Little hands are much harder to paint than regular adult-sized hands. And so I painted a lot of nails that day, and they all got scratched off by dinner because it looked terrible. And pretty much everyone who did their nails that first day, it looked terrible. And so I was like, I am not going back there tomorrow. So the next day, I was back in the craft area, and I was looking around, and I was like, no other leaders are making a move to go do nails either. So I figured I'll just go get it set up, and then I'll sneak out. Well, I ended up being one of the only leaders out there. Eventually, another one came and helped out. And so day 2, I was in charge of doing nails. And I started to find my groove. I started to figure out it's different than how I would do my nails. Like, there's just some other techniques. And I'm not going to lie, I started to get into it. It started to turn out okay. And then little Naomi came to me. Naomi was 7. She was the smallest girl at camp. And she had picked out a cute little color. She knew what sticker she wanted, and she asked me to paint her nails, and so I did. And you guys, that was the best job I had ever done. I felt like it's pretty much perfect. Everybody else in camp should be jealous of these nails because they look so good. The colors were on point, I checked in with her like a half hour later, still looking good, hadn't chipped or peeled off, she hadn't rubbed anything off. And so I thought we were golden. And a little bit later that night, I was checking on all my girls, and I said, let me look at your nails, are they still good? And she was like, yeah, they're good, but I think I want to change them. I was like, hopefully my face hit it. But I was like, oh my gosh, seriously? And so I said, oh, okay. Well, you know the rule that we have to let the other girls go first, the ones who haven't had a chance to paint them yet, so maybe we'll have time to change them, hoping that she'd forget. And she's like, okay, yeah, I know. And so then fast forward, final day of nails, I was resigned to the fact that I was not going to be able to be creative and I was going to be on nails all afternoon. And I was, and Naomi immediately came up. I was like, I want the tips. And I was like, what? I want French tips like Danica. And I was like, okay, well, I've got to take care of these other girls first, still just trying to push her off, hoping like she can't ruin those perfect nails. And then I started looking around, it started to calm down, and Miss Stella, who was the queen of French tip nails, called out, hey, does anybody need their nails done? Anybody need any help? And I kind of felt like I was at a crossroads, because I heard Stella, and I knew that she could help Naomi. I didn't want her to help Naomi. I wanted her to keep those perfect nails that I had done. And Naomi was tiny and quiet and not assertive, so if I didn't say anything, she probably would be stuck with my nails. So in my mind, I was like, how could Naomi do this to me? Why does she want this change? And then I also thought, no one will notice if I don't say anything. But technically, camp is for the camper. It's not for me. And probably Jesus would help her get her nails done to a different color if she wanted a different color. He doesn't care. It's okay. And so with not the best attitude, I relented. And I said, hey, Miss Stella, Naomi would like some fuchsia French-tipped nails. Can you help her? And she did, and she got her nails done, and they looked lovely, and we had the tea party. And that night, as I was chatting with the girls at my table and just saying, what was your favorite activity that we did the whole week? And everybody's talking about the dance party, the tea party. I got to Naomi, and I asked her immediately, the biggest grin on her face, and she goes, my nails. And I was like, yeah, okay, yep, thank you, Lord. And I kind of was struck with gosh, if I hadn't gotten over myself, I would have robbed this little girl of her favorite activity at camp the whole week. So that kind of got me thinking about service. And I was reminded that service is not about us. We don't serve so that we can be glorified, so that we can do all the things that we want to do. And it's not about our plans, and we don't do it in our own strength. 1 Peter 4:11 says, if anyone serves, they should do so with the strength that God provides, so that in all things God may be praised through Jesus Christ. God doesn't need our work. He finished it on the cross. He doesn't need us to do anything. He's all-powerful. He's in control. But he invites us in to be obedient. He's calling us to serve him in the strength that he provides. And it's through that service that he gives us opportunities to love others, to love one another. He gives us opportunities to be obedient to his leading. We learn and we grow through that service. And sometimes, which I hope today, we have fun and we fellowship together, one another, through our service. So service isn't about us. God doesn't need us, but he invites us to do service with him. Another thing that you probably all clearly picked up on, service can be humbling. I would even say it requires humility. The Message, when I was looking up all the different translations for Philippians 2, the message stuck out to me, and I feel like it's a little bit snarky, but I think it kind of packs a punch, and it says, if you've gotten anything at all out of following Christ, if his love has made any difference in your life, if being in a community of the Spirit means anything to you, if you have a heart, if you care, then do me a favor. Agree with one another. Love each other. Be deep-spirited friends. Don't push your way to the front. Don't sweet-talk your way to the top. Put yourself aside and help others get ahead. Don't be obsessed with getting your own advantage. Forget yourself long enough to lend a helping hand. Sometimes something as silly as nails can suddenly show you that you're not being humble, can suddenly show you that you've turned your service this amazing week of service that I thought, since I was focused on Jesus the whole time and we were singing worship multiple times a day and in the Bible, that like I wasn't going to miss the mark. And something as silly as nails could show me like, no, there's still that root of pride in me and I still want to do it my way. So service can be humbling. Also, we are all called to serve. It does not matter who you are. It does not matter your age. It does not matter your skill ability, where you come from. None of that matters. If you have a relationship with Jesus, then we are all called to serve, and we all have a place in the body. And we're all called to imitate Christ. In Luke 22 at the Last Supper, Jesus said, "I am among you as one who serves." And then in Philippians 2, it talks about how Jesus humbled himself coming to the earth and took on the form of a servant. It does not matter who you are. We are all called to serve. So as a bit of an encouragement as we serve, I love the verse, Romans 12:11. It says, "Never give up. Eagerly follow the Holy Spirit and serve the Lord." So that's what we're going to do today, Crossroads. We are going to use the strength and the power that the Lord has given us, and we're going to try to be humble, and we are going to serve our community and our church and one another for the next couple of hours.